So you can spend your whole life trying to answer that question, why me? Or you can just cut right to the chase and say, me, as I am, exactly as I am. Now what? What can I do now? That maybe is where you can derive your freedom from. I can't choose the situations I'm in right now. And by the way, even if you made the decisions to put yourself in the situation that you're in right now, you're still in that situation. So you can't choose not to be in that situation now. Freedom, therefore, is going to be, what do I do within that situation? What's the best thing for me to do? There is no perfect. There is no perfect. And perfect is the enemy of the good. Sometimes things are just pretty good, but we kick rocks and we get frustrated. We go, man, it's not perfect though. Nothing is perfect. But things can be pretty good. You're the person that you are. You're in the place that you are. You're in the circumstances that you are. Are you making the best of it? Because that's what your life is going to be. It's going to be the making the best of the situations that you're in. And you can stop me. Maybe you've heard this once or twice before, but life is suffering, and you don't get to choose not to suffer. But you can choose what you're going to suffer for. How about childhood? How many of you guys, show of hands, how many of you guys chose to be born? Nobody? Don't any of you guys remember the character creation screen before you were born? Yeah. Yeah, and you got to choose how much intelligence you had and how much charisma you had and how much luck you had. And yeah, y'all remember that, right? Yeah. And I don't. That sounds like a drug-induced hallucination. But I never experienced that. So none of us got to choose what our intelligence was. None of us got to choose what our families were going to be like. None of us got to choose where we'd be born. Anybody here ever feel like you've just been born in the wrong time? Yeah. I have a lot of students who feel that way. So we didn't get to choose when we were born, the time period. We don't get to choose, I mean, heck, the first several years of your life, you don't get to choose what you eat. And when your mom's pregnant with you, and then the first few years of your life, the stuff that you eat will contribute a lot to your brain development. We show that proper nutrition can influence an IQ score up to 10%. That's a lot. That's the difference between being average, below average, and one standard deviation above average. That's a lot, man. And yet none of us got to choose those things. So we fast forward 18 years, and here you are. None of us got to choose how tall we'd be, how short we'd be, how ugly or good looking we'd be. We didn't get to choose our eye color, our hair color, none of those things. We didn't get to choose, a lot of times, we didn't even get to choose necessarily the values that propel us, the ethics. That's why I put ethics with an asterisk. Because whether or not, for example, whether or not you value education, for example, is probably largely influenced by where you grew up and who you grew up around. And then, of course, your educational level is going to also influence your life outcomes. So there's a whole bunch of things about our lives that we didn't decide. I don't know if any of you guys know people who didn't take, maybe they didn't take school very seriously or take education very seriously, but then later on in life they did, and they decided to turn it around, and then they did better. Or people who kind of stopped one day. More commonly, people will stop one day, look at their lives, and just go, well, this isn't the life I want to live. And then they can look back and go, wow, I never realized how traumatized I was as a kid. No wonder I behave the way that I do. No wonder I'm so angry and hostile. And then they got to spend a bunch of their life trying to undo that. And then there's also, of course, the opposite, which we don't pay enough attention to. I wonder how many of you can look at yourselves and go, dude, I'm so much better off for having had the parents that I had, or having had the guardians I had, or having had the neighbors I had, or the people around me that I had. I wonder how many of you can sit there and go, wow, if I didn't have the mom I have, bless you. If I didn't have the mom that I had, who knows where I'd be today? And you can only imagine the worst about where you'd be. And so it kind of cuts both ways, but in all of those circumstances, none of us chose that. So I guess the question now becomes, now what? Now what? So you are where you are. You're the height that you are, you're the intelligence that you are, you have the ethics, asterisk, that you have. And the reason I put that in an asterisk is because that's something that can be changed. The laws of physics can't be changed. The law, perhaps, but really you're one person against the law. Socialism, communism can't be changed. Right, comrades? Okay. If you didn't nod your head, you'll be getting a visit later today. They'll be asking you about that. But we don't find ourselves in these situations that we can change a lot of times. And if you think about what it is in your life you can change, it's pretty limited. The kinds of things that you can change are your attitudes, maybe, how you choose to respond to a situation. You ever been in a situation that's so messed up, and maybe you did cause it, maybe you didn't, but especially think about it as a situation that you didn't cause. And then you find yourself asking yourself, why do I have to deal with this? Why do I have to get out of this? It's just another problem in my life that I didn't cause. And now there's a couple things you can do. You can toss up your hands and just say, this is terrible. This is horrible. I can't, the world's against me. And is the world against you? No, it can feel like it at times. But there are segments of the world that will be against you for various reasons. And understand that when you're going through those kinds of things, so is everybody else. Why are they against you? I don't know, maybe it's their ethics, maybe it's how they were brought up, maybe it's the influences they had, maybe it's because of the parents they had. You can spend your whole life trying to figure out the answer to that question. Why me? Or you can cut right to the chase and go, me, as I am, exactly as I am. Now what? So you can spend your whole life trying to answer that question, why me? Or you can just cut right to the chase and say, me, as I am, exactly as I am. Now what? What can I do now? And that maybe is where you can derive your freedom from. I can't choose the situations I'm in right now. And by the way, even if you made the decisions to put yourself in the situation that you're in right now, you're still in that situation. So you can't choose not to be in that situation now. Freedom, therefore, is going to be, what do I do within that situation? What's the best thing for me to do? There is no perfect. There is no perfect. And perfect is the enemy of the good. Sometimes things are just pretty good, but we kick rocks and we get frustrated. We go, man, it's not perfect though. Nothing is perfect. But things can be pretty good. Was it this class I was talking about if a demon were to come and visit you at night and have you look at your life? Was it this class? Yeah. I'm asking, yes? What's that? No, the demon. Well, the angel or the demon. I'm not sure which it is. I didn't ask you this already.
No, you didn't.
This is worth considering sometime. So here's your homework for tonight. Imagine, as you go to sleep tonight and you're in your loneliest of lonelies, in your dark room, you open up your eyes and you see a demon. Oh, maybe it's an angel. Okay, you figure it out. I'll tell you the story and then you tell me if it's an angel or it's a demon. And this demon says to you, your life here is over. You've died. What we're going to do now is we're going to take you and you're going to have to watch your whole life from beginning to end. Every success, every failure, and not a summary. You're going to have to sit there and watch yourself live your entire life. Everything you've ever done, every choice you've ever made, every impact you've ever had on people, everything that you've ever done. And at the end of all of that, you're going to watch it again. And after that, you're going to watch it again and again and again for all of eternity. So you tell me, is that an angel or is that a demon?
Demon.
And if it's a demon, that's a problem. Because if it's a demon, what that tells you is that you're not living the way that you want to live. You're not choosing the best choices. You can choose, maybe you can't choose the perfect, but you can choose the better. Because if you look at that thing that's telling you that, and especially after you watch your life once through, you just sit there and go, oh my God. And then the demon says, we're going to watch this again. And you're like, again? Yeah, there's no way you're an angel. You're certainly a demon from hell. Because this is hell. Instead, though, if you look at that and you watch your life, and not that it goes perfectly as it is, but you can look at it and say, I wouldn't change anything. I wouldn't change anything. I would have liked to have had more money, let's say, or I'd like to have had more fame, or I'd like to have had more friends or whatever. But my response to every situation that I was in wasn't perfect, because there's no such thing as perfect, but it was the better of things. It was the best of things. And you got to the end of all of it. If you sat there and you said to that angel, that was my life? Again, let's watch it again. I want to see that again. Imagine if those were your two choices and you were to die today. Which of those responses would you have? And whatever your response is, that will tell you whether you're going the right way or whether you're going the wrong way. Would you want to watch your whole life unfold exactly as it is? And I'm not saying would you want to rewrite it so you could be a different person. You can't. You're the person that you are. You're in the place that you are. You're in the circumstances that you are. Are you making the best of it? Because that's what your life is going to be. It's going to be the making the best of the situations that you're in. And you can stop me. Maybe you've heard this once or twice before, but life is suffering. And you don't get to choose not to suffer. But you can choose what you're going to suffer for. And I think, well, love is beautiful. Love is great. Absolutely. And yet, isn't it interesting that no love is ever going to end well for you? And I mean that. Let's say you find someone today, you fall absolutely madly in love with them. It's going to end. They're going to die. You're going to die. Maybe you'll get lucky and you'll die together. But it's going to end in some way. Every good thing ends. So which suffering are you going to choose? The suffering of sitting by yourself in your room in isolation, folding your arms, scratching your chin and frowning and saying, I'll never form connections because it just ends badly. Or are you going to choose the suffering of love and eventually knowing that even if everything goes perfectly, even if everything goes well, it's still going to end badly? Which of those two things is better? Well, nothing's perfect. Exactly. So you're not going to have a perfect life, but can you make the best of the life that you have? That's freedom. It's not the absence of having commitments. It's not like I can do whatever I want to do. No. Can you imagine your life with no commitments? Where would you be right now if you had no commitments? Sleeping, probably. And then you wake up and you'd stumble around, and that might be fun for, I don't know, you guys tell me, how long are you guys on vacation before you're completely bored out of your minds? Like summer vacation, Christmas vacation, those fall breaks. It doesn't usually last long. This is why you find people who are very wealthy and they sell their company for $1 billion, and then what do they immediately do? They find something else to do. Because if you're a person who wants to do things, you're going to do things. You don't just sit around and do nothing, especially if you're the kind of a person who has the drive to start a company and you're going to earn $1 billion. You can't have that personality and just sit on the beach and drink Mai Tais the rest of your life. You might do it for a few weeks or a few months, even a couple of years, but eventually you can get that itch and be like, I need to do something else. Why? Make the best of it. Make the best of it. That's all of life, making the best of every situation that you find yourself in. That means maybe taking on commitments. Because you ever commit to something, accomplish it, and then feel accomplished afterwards? Those are the people who start billion-dollar companies. They accomplish a whole bunch of things along the road, and then they sell it off as a big accomplishment. What are they looking for next? The next big accomplishment, the next commitment, the next responsibility. Because responsibilities are the things that give your life meaning. Fulfilling responsibilities. That's why one of the best things that you can possibly do in life is to pick up pick up the heaviest goddamn thing that you can in your life. What is it? A really good friend of mine, probably my best friend in the whole world. Well, one of my best friends in the whole wide world. I was talking to him a couple days ago, and I was asking him how's it going, and he just says, it's rough. His niece was just diagnosed with autism, severe autism, and his sister doesn't have anybody in the world, just him. And he's going through stuff in his own life, relationship falling apart, all this stuff, family infighting, just lost his grandmother who was incredibly important to him, who I'm very disappointed because she was supposed to come and talk to you guys, his grandmother. She died, she was 94 years old. She marched with Martin Luther King Jr. She marched with Malcolm X. She was involved, all that stuff that you read about, she was involved in all that stuff. She was supposed to be last year. She was supposed to come and talk to my students last year, and she died a few weeks before she was supposed to come and talk to them, which is really too bad. But my friend, I asked him, what do you need? And he said, right now, nothing. He says, but eventually I might need something from you. I said, okay, done. I don't even need to know what it is. Just tell me, I'm there. He knows that about me. And then he told me, he told his sister, because his sister was asking that question, why? Like, why us? Why me? Like, haven't we had enough difficulty in our life? You grew up rough. And he gave her a great answer. He said, why us? Because we're built for this. We're prepared for this. We're ready for this. We've had nothing but difficulty our whole life. We're strong. We're ready. We can do this. There's no like, you can do this. You got this. He's like, we got this. You know, is that something that we necessarily want for people? No. But if you ever find yourself in that situation, like, why me? Sometimes it's because you're built for it. And you're prepared for it. And I guess I'll leave you with this last thing. You guys ever go to La Jolla? Coronado? Nice neighborhoods, man. Nice neighborhoods. I remember asking myself this question when I was growing up, where I grew up in Los Angeles in Echo Park. Not too far from where I grew up. It's really interesting. You got Beverly Hills, Bel Air, like multi-million-dollar mansions. And then where I lived, which is only a few miles from there. Like I said, my dad worked at McDonald's, my mom was disabled. And these two very different worlds, they're constantly passing each other. I remember one time looking at Beverly Hills and I was thinking, how long could I live in that neighborhood comfortably? I could live a whole lifetime in that neighborhood comfortably, man. I don't know where you guys are from, but maybe it's something worth asking yourselves. How long could you live in Coronado and La Jolla comfortably? Probably your whole life. How long could they live in your neighborhood comfortably? I know the people in Beverly Hills wouldn't have survived a week in my neighborhood, man. So sometimes you're built for those things. You're prepared for those things. And those are the things that you can make your choices off of. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Happy Tuesday. Positive if you think about it. Maybe, yeah.